lesson 1. The boss consists of 3 DNAs. DNA for people, DNA for business, and DNA for life. Today's lesson is talking about the DNA for people, the 17 seconds to quantum thinking. So when we look at the 17 seconds, we can actually learn how to do it in less than 17 seconds. I talked to a gentleman yesterday for 90 minutes. Never met him before in my life, first time ever on the phone, and we ended up talking for 90 minutes. This guy is very affluent, very influential, 7th generation Texan, very interesting guy. And so you can actually identify somebody's personality based on how they say hello. Now, the benefits of doing the 17-second exercise is that it creates curiosity. So if I know your personality based on how you say hello to me, that helps me, but it doesn't give you, as Paul would say, the goosebump moments of saying, why is he asking these questions? So yes, we can teach you in the psychology of people how to identify somebody's personality based on how they say hello. When they say hello to you, you actually know their strengths, weaknesses, what they like, what they don't, turns them on, turns them off, if they're married, who they're married to, conflict marriage, what to say, when to say it, how to say it, if they like you, if they won't, why not. You know all of that based on how they say hello. We can teach you how to do that, but don't go ahead and do that as much as the 17-second test, because that is the thing that creates magic. It creates so much curiosity. But let's teach you how to do it in less than 17 seconds, almost instantly, like in a quantum level. The first question is the individual more aggressive or less aggressive, more assertive or less assertive? If they're more assertive, they will tend to choose the pyramid or the wavy line, or things being out of order, or things being boring, or out of control, or things being boring or not fun. They will tend to choose if they're less assertive, less aggressive, they'll tend to choose the cube or the ball. They'll tend to choose on what's painful for them. They will tend to choose things not being done properly in order or conflict with other people. So the first question is a person more aggressive or less aggressive? If Tom and Paul, if you're not sure if they're more aggressive or less aggressive, probably what are they? Probably, less aggressive. Because more aggressive people, you tend to know they're more aggressive. So if you ask yourself, as soon as they say hello, like you just know. So the amiable and the analytic, they will say hello in a totally different way than the expressive and the driver. The expressive personality will make it a fun hello, a fast, humorous, like it's just like whoa. So they're very quick. The driver will say hello, not to make it fun or anything. They will say hello because they have to. They have to get it out. Hello, like it's sharp. You're not feeling the warm fuzzies. The analytic will say hello, like, I don't know how they do it, but they do. They'll pause almost always and say, hello. Like it's almost perfect. It's like a perfect hello. The amiable will say hello based on hello, like they think, you think that you're their mom or something. And so you can tell based on assertiveness, based on how they say hello, if they're more assertive or less assertive. Tom, Paul, any questions either of you guys have on that?
No, but it just gave me I'm sorry, Tom, go ahead.
No, I think we're saying the same thing. Pretty damn amazing.
Well, Mark, I just got my goosebump moment.
See?
Remember Jerry Maguire?
Yep.
You had me at hello. So I this video is going to be out to you later today.
Nice.
It is crazy.
Like, when you think about an owner of a company, or a large company or a C-level executive, why would you not put every single one of your team through the psychology of people? like this right here. Now, we have Paul. He's great. I always love it because when he says he has a goosebump moment, that's a trigger to you. Why am I not getting goosebump moments? Like, why does Paul get them all? Like, why is he seeing stuff, sensing stuff? Why is he having an awakening? Why is he doing this? Why am I not doing it? The second question
you created it.
What's that?
You created it.
How did he create it?
No, you did. That's why you don't have the...
But there's other people, Tom. You get the goosebump moments. You get the epiphany. You see something right away. Paul sees something right away. But most people don't. And that's the thing that I don't understand.
I think people learn in different ways, different timetables. And what you're showing them is a whole different way of doing things. And it takes some of them a little bit longer to understand that. But the issue is you're saying that they don't get it ever, or they just don't get it in a short period of time.
Since I'm not from birth to death with them, Tom, they don't get it immediately. Like, you get stuff immediately, Tom. You and Paul are probably the top individuals, top five, one of the two of the top 5 individuals that I know that know how to internalize things almost at will, like almost instantly. I've seen you both do it over and over again. That's what we're talking about on the internalization. Like, if you don't get the goosebump moment, if you don't see, oh my gracious, and so you can tell when somebody does this, like the gentleman that I met with yesterday said, Mark, I don't know if he's 60 or 70. I would imagine he's at least in his 60s, maybe in his 70s. But he said, Mark, my dad, when I was hunting with him on one of our, many ranches that they have, he said, when I was hunting when I was 12, my dad said 3 things to me. He said, son, he said, remember what I'm going to tell you now. If you don't remember anything else, remember what I'm going to tell you now. And he said, number 1 is it's hard to hit a moving target. Number 2 is, he said, cash has no trail. And number 3, I forget what this one was. The essence of it is, son, you have this massive IQ and you don't know how to shut your mouth. You have to own your own company. You can't be on Wall Street. You can't be an executive because you're really super smart and you have to own your own company. So you can't work for somebody else. Tom, you said in one of our first conversations about how you remembered your dad and your grandfather. And so if people don't learn, I think, as children on how to internalize things, if they're not going back into childhood and if they don't have moving moments. I remember my first memory in my life, it was at 3 years old. Like, I remember very specifically my first memory. I remember specific things at 5 and then 8 and then 9. So there's things that were life-changing moments for me, and if we don't understand that, we're not going to be able to internalize this. So again, listen to Tom and his voice, because he picks up on stuff that most people don't. Paul, he uses goosebump moments, so you'll be able, that's a little trigger for you. The second question is, are they focused more on task? Are they focused more on people? And so if they're focused more on the task, they're going to tend to choose the cube, or the dry analytic personality. We'll refer to them as analytic for the cube, driver for the pyramid. So if they're focused more on task, they're going to tend to be more the analytic and driver. Roughly 75% of men are going to be analytic and driver, and 25% of women will be. And so a lot of things that get attributed to males, this is being a male, it's actually not being a male, it's being a driver analytic. 75% of, so if they're focused on people, it's going to be the expressive, the wavy line, or the amiable. 75% of women will be expressive or amiable, and 25% of men. Now, if you go ahead and say, why is that the case? It's like, I don't know. I'm not God. I don't know why I don't know why these things are the way they are. So what you're looking at is you're looking at two questions. And when you get good at this, and so you know you've internalized it to where you're actually writing this down, you're taking notes on it, you're asking everybody you know, friends, family, neighbors, total strangers, anybody you want, which of these four shapes, which of these four things cause you most frustration, and everybody you're talking to, you're exercising your brain muscles. This literally in seconds, it's less than 17 seconds, and as we learn more about this in the psychology of people, in the leverage course, in the personality masteries, and a whole bunch of other things, as we learn more about this, it becomes reflex. It's just reflex on what we do and how we talk, the words we use, the pitch, everything becomes reflex. All right. So when we look at, go ahead.
Mark, can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Sorry. So the first question, I can see that associated with somebody saying hello. How is the second?
Oh.
The second question, a physical question, that needs to be
Yeah,
asked,
thank you.
because you can't get that from hello.
Thank you. So how they say hello, listen to their physiology, the tonation. If it's friendly, nice, people-ish, it will be expressive or amiable. And if it's more mechanical, like they have to say something when they pick up the phone, they'd prefer not to. Like if any of you, I'm a driver analytic, if you could help me to eliminate the ability to say hello, I would do it. But I don't know. I mean, hello is pretty fast. So if you get this warm, fuzzy feeling, if you think the person likes you, they're probably the expressive or amiable. If you think it's just mechanical, they're probably driver analytic. It doesn't.
Wow, it's interesting because there's certain times of the day or night that you're going to get the robocalls and the sales calls. So unless I know somebody's calling me, I'll just pick the phone up and sit there. And it's weird because then you'll hear, like time will go by and then you'll hear, hello? And it's just, most of the time they never call you back, which is exactly what I was hoping for. But anyway, just an interesting comment.
It is. When we understand this, you can use it. We can use it in all areas of our life. So when we look at the psychology of people for recruiting, how do we build a system to attract the best people to us? Clients, employees, contractors, vendors, referral partners, donors, volunteers, family, even friends, associations, groups, any group of people. And then how do we go ahead and onboard them? How do we onboard the best people into our life in the best way? And then how do we have retention? How do we retain the best people for maximum productivity, maximum enjoyment in friendships? So this is why CEOs, this is why owners of companies love this so much and want to put all their employees through this. Because as an owner of a company, I don't care how people learn what they learn. I hope they apply it to their marriage. I hope they apply it to their kids because they're going to be better employees. I hope they apply it in family and friends because they're going to be more productive employees. And how cool is it when they're a more productive employee, when they're happier, when they're more successful? And then that translates over into helping their marriage too. Like this stuff it's like the best investment that I think a company can make into their employees. Let's now dig into and look at each one of them individually. Let's take a look at the analytics. So they're focused more on the task and they're less assertive. So the analytic personality or frequency. Now think about all of these different areas of your life and think about all the analytics in all of these different areas. Again, it's quantum thinking. Like if you're overwhelmed, it's good you're overwhelmed. It's a good overwhelm because we're learning to have one system that will apply to every single human being in every area of our life. So we get better at business, at the same time get better in our marriage. We get better with our kids, our children, our grandchildren, our friends, our family. When we get better there, we get better at work and in working with our clients. Now let's take a look at the recruiting. Make sure when we're recruiting the analytic that we dot the I's and cross the T's. Make sure we have a clear list of all responsibilities. Make sure that we help them to understand that we as a company love details and the importance of details, meaning we love them. How do we onboard them? We need detailed checklists. We need small bite-sized steps. Do not overwhelm them and do not rush them. How do we retain them? We need clear expectations. We need to make sure we're consistently giving them updates. We need a custom plan for them, specifically to their own personality, and we need precise coaching and mentoring of them. Very, very different plan than the driver, the expressive, and the amiable. And so they're going to choose the cube, they're going to choose out of order. Now, again, there's 65,536 possible combinations, so you might be asking, well, what about when they cross over? Do they always match up? Most of the time, they don't match up. Most of the time, if somebody chooses a cube as what they like the most, they often will not choose the out of order. They might choose out of control. They might choose boring or not fun. They might choose, conflict with others. And so that's where it gets to be really fun and exciting, but more complicated as well. Let's take a look at the driver personality. They're focused like the amiable on the task, but they're going to be more assertive, where the analytic personality is less assertive. And so think of all these different areas in your life and think of the drivers in each of these different areas. Then how do we go through and how do we look at the recruiting for the driver personality? Focus on profit, speed, getting ahead. Very, very different than the analytic. If we recruit, again, in any area of our life, spouse, anything, if we try to draw people to us and we use an approach that's different than their personality, they won't be drawn to us. Focus in on goals, focus on being driven, focus on opportunities to advance quickly. How do we onboard the driver? Give them the big picture. Be careful not to have too many details. Have as minimal as you can. Again, a totally different onboarding process for the driver than you would the analytic. Opposite. Do not waste their time. The analytic likes to go into a lot of details. The driver will think it's a waste of time. Communicate value not in your personality, but in the personality of the driver, which is profit, speed, getting ahead. How is this going to help them achieve their goals? Retention, do not limit them or hold them back. Do not micromanage them. When you coach them at higher and bigger goals. Encourage them in, big, hairy, audacious goals. They love a challenge. They love being driven. They love doing the impossible. Let's take a look at the next one, the expressive personality. They're going to be more focused on people. So they're going to be like the driver personality in that they're more aggressive, but they're going to be aggressive as it relates to people, not necessarily task and getting the task done. So that's the expressive personality. Again, make a list of all of the expressives in all the different areas of your life. Now, they're going to choose typically the wavy line and or the boring, not fun. If they choose both of them, they have what's called a double expressive, so tons of energy. Recruiting them, it's got to be fun, exciting, lots of energy. Help them to see how they can show off how amazing they are. They might be a tad narcissistic. Opportunities for rapid growth and potential. Again, they're really hard chargers. They like to get out there. They like to make it happen. Onboarding, make it fun and exciting. Connect them to lots of people. Lift them up to others on the team. And be really passionate and love their passion. How do you retain the expressive personality? Allow them room to succeed and fail. Help them to see their weaknesses. Sometimes every personality overvalues our strengths, undervalue our weaknesses. This can be fatal for the driver or the expressive personality because they're more assertive. Coach them to greater disciplines. So they tend to lack disciplines in certain areas that are holding them back. Let's take a look at the last one here, the amiable personality. They're less assertive, like the analytic, and they're focused more on the people, like the expressive. And so they're the amiable personality frequency. Again, think of all the amiables in all the different areas of your life. Now, so they're going to choose the ball. They're going to tend to choose conflict. They don't want conflict. They're going to like harmony, everything coming together. In recruiting them, you're like a family. Be considerate, caring, teamwork, peace, harmony, working well together. All of those types of things will draw these types of individuals in. Onboarding them, connect them with a caring mentor. Might not be the best to do the driver initially. You can do that later. We'll get into that more in future lessons. Help to ease them into any conflict. Most organizations are going to have conflict. Be careful of doing that too quickly. Help them to see their weaknesses. One of their greatest strengths is their concern, compassion for people. One of their weaknesses is their concern, compassion for people. The amiable tends to have a lot of arrogance in how to treat people a certain way, and that's the way they think. So they do not like the driver and how the driver treats people. Help them leverage their strengths, toughen them up, help them to understand, coach them, again, a custom plan, coach them to know the benefits of conflict. So they tend to resist conflict, not realizing it actually creates more conflict in the end. Now, you might be saying, Mark, I don't know if I really buy into this stuff. It's okay. We know what personality you are, okay? You're not one of the four personalities. You're what we call a chameleon personality. And so a chameleon personality is focused on people. Well, and they're less assertive. And, they're focused in on, the task. And they're kind of more assertive too. You might be saying, well, how is that possible? They're everything. Their greatest strength is their flexibility. Their greatest weakness is their flexibility. There's actually, in the 65,536 possible combinations, there's actually 27 different types of chameleon personalities. So there's 27 different types of chameleon personalities. So how do you go ahead and how do we go through? You look at their primary and secondary, look at geo and pain quadrant. You're focusing in on the flexibility. You're focusing in on everything. When this person's hot, they're really, really hot. When they're not, they're really, really not. The reason they're hot when they're hot is they're analyzing when they should analyze, executing when they should execute, focus on the task when they should the task, and people when they should the people. They probably say, Paul, you're amazing. How do you do everything? Paul probably shrugs his shoulders, smiles, and says, I don't know. And so the chameleon has the ability to do all the different energy bases. So they have the ability to do all the different energy bases in what they're doing. And so when they're cold, though, they're really cold. So what they do is, there's a deepest inner quadrant, which is a 55-55, and that individual, only 2 to 3% of the professional coaches in the planet know how to coach that complex of a personality. Because when they're cold, the reason they're cold is they're analyzing when they should execute, executing when they should analyze, focus on the task when they should the people, and the people when they should the task. So they're off just a little bit, but it creates havoc for them. All right, so we're going to go into the Q&A session here in just a second. But hopefully you're getting the energy of the power of the BOSS system and the first of the 3 DNAs, the DNA for people, and how this connects to every area. So again,
Question.
Yes.
Back on the chameleon,
Yep.
So how do you onboard them and recruit them and so on? Is it just too difficult or what?
No, it's complicated. You often will focus in on, you go back and forth. It's the weirdest interview in the world. It's the weirdest strategy in the world. And so they can shift on you really fast. Like they'll look at big picture like the driver, and then they'll go into details like the analytic. But then it's almost like it's counterintuitive. Like there's no way they would join you, but you're all over the place. And so you're interrupting them, they're interrupting you. You're talking big picture, little picture. It's a disjointed interview. It's a disjointed way. It's like there's no way it's going to work, but it will with the expressive or with the inner quadrant, the chameleon personality. And so that's where when you get into deeper classes, higher level classes in this, the 27 different types of inner quadrant personalities, you do it slightly different. There's an absolute art and a science to being able to break this down. Does that help some, Tom?
I think so.
And we'll get into this more, as we get into the other lessons and go deeper into it. So the boss, it's the engine that runs our business. We earn the money, we earn work, the hours we work, have the stress, life balance we do or don't have because of our engine. The three components. And today we went over the DNA for people. Next lesson is going to be the DNA for business. And that's going to be even faster. But it integrates into the DNA for people. And the most complex and the hardest to teach is the DNA for life, which is going to be the next lesson after that. And so you can see how, in a way, this is really simple. Like if you're overwhelmed, don't be overwhelmed. It's three things, three elements. But the more we know we don't know. This is why awakening, ownership, work, and care is so important in being able to go through it. So when we look at the DNA for people, and then we look at what we learned and discovered in leverage and the leverage model, the DNA for people is integrated in listening, is integrated in seeing, is integrated in thinking, is integrated in presenting solutions, integrated into doing. It's why the red lines are around it. So it's not just listening, it's integrated into everything. What we'll be going through in the next lesson, people only care about two things. One is our intention, and two is our capability. Is our intention to bring them value? Is our intention to help them, to heal them, to move them, to bring value to them? And if it is, then what is our capabilities? Do we have the capability to transform their life forever? In the next lesson, we're going to be learning about the DNA for business. That one's going to go even faster. Like it's crazy how much we're going to go over there. You think you're swimming now. Wait until you get into the DNA for business. And that's where we're asking questions and presenting solutions. And it's integrating all of these things in, and it's bringing see, think, and do back into the DNA for business. And again, that all connects back into the personalities. So all of this is blended together. And that connects back into intentions and capability. In the DNA for life, the natural laws, this is the hardest because there's over 500 natural laws. So how do you teach this? That's going to be really cool, but it's the most complex, and that integrates the DNA for people, DNA for business, DNA for life, which again strengthens our intentions and our capabilities in everything that we're able to do. And one system, one properly designed, engineered boss system has the ability to cover every area of life, any group of people that we desire to impact. So I know we've gone over a lot of information in a very short period of time. So we've gone through the power of boss, 17 seconds to quantum thinking, and then we're going to be looking at one system for everything. And this is where internalization is really important. So asking questions, listening, connecting into our why, our life vision. seeing things we've never seen before, giving us insight and purifying our intentions, thinking in a radically different way, and then increasing our capabilities, which then give us leverage, which then help us to internalize, which help us to change, which then helps us to do something, which then helps us. This is my favorite. Compliments of Peter Miles. Phil, we get it. We're not that important. We're not the center of the universe. We are important. We're not. But we're not the center of the universe. We get it, and we start the whole cycle over again, which is the human existence, to an awakening over and over again and again. So that creates an awakening. We need to take ownership of all things. We need to work hard and smart, and we need to care on a massive, like a dimensional level above everything. Again, connect with your art mentor on what you've learned and what actions you'll take next thing to learn. Connect with your two art buddies. That's where your deep learning comes from. You'll have surface learning with your art mentor, but your deep learning will be in helping other people. And then for sure, you got to get into the learn to earn. You want to make this, and your employer wants you to make more money too. Why? Because then they'll make more money. The more productive you are, the more money you're going to make. It's a natural law, so make sure you do that in what we're doing. We're going to go into the Q&A here. Always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. God bless. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.